Ramadan, the time of spiritual reflection and worship, a time of patience, humility, self-discipline, and submissiveness to God. During the holy month, Radio Sultanate of Oman 90.4 FM takes you on a journey from spiritual reflection and enlightenment to family entertainment. Join us all day and all night long here on the Nation Station. Life is a journey, and through this journey we come across all challenges. These challenges makes us better human beings. We live for the pleasure of serving others and feeling the guidance of the Creator. Join us and explore the opportunities to overcome your difficulties this Ramadan here on the Nation Station.
You lift me up high, you spread my wings and fly me to the sky. I feel so alive, it's like my soul thrives in your light. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. Ramadan, 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 ya Habib. Ramadan, Ramadan.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. All praise be to Allah, the Lord of the heavens and the earth, and peace and blessings be upon our beloved messenger. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome to your program Life as It Is. From me, Hatim Al Abdilsalam, and my brother Ahmed Al Matani. Assalamu alaikum, Ahmed.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you doing today?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
Good,
It's
good.
always nice to have you.
Well, the same thing here, actually. Thank you so much.
Before we start today's show, we just wanted to say to thank everyone out there who have been calling throughout the show and contributing to the program. And we received lots of comments yesterday. We received lots of praise about yesterday's topic, and many people had requested us to continue with the topic of dating. But unfortunately, we have a list of topics that we wanted to cover, and it won't be possible for us to continue with the same topic for 2 days. But let's see, inshallah, maybe at the end of the month or maybe after Ramadan we could start off this
I think
program
it's a
again
good idea,
and share the program again, that topic about dating. We never knew that people were really interested about the topic of dating. We were not scared, but we were hesitant at the beginning to talk about something which is considered to be taboo in the community. But we were surprised at the end of the show with the amount of messages that we received, people praising and people wanting to hear more about this topic. This only shows the maturity of the community and their need, their urge to learn and to want to know more about this.
And I think, this is the whole idea about such a programs, like the program before us, Let's Connect, and our program, and Dr. Wiles, program, is to discuss, sensitive topics that we tend not to talk about, in public, so that we educate people about, these issues, and they get interacting, with us, and we learn from each other.
Yes. Now, today's topic is slightly light compared to yesterday. Today we're talking about identity crisis. This topic...
Well, the name, doesn't indicate it's a light, topic.
Well,
crisis.
Inshallah, it will, inshallah.
Yeah.
This topic is important to us as Muslims.
Correct.
And as people of Oman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we will try to cover both sides of the topic, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So to start off, Ahmed, what is identity? What are we talking here about?
Well, when we talk about identity, we're talking about the individual characteristics that a person is known for, or we can recognize that particular person or a thing, with.
Yes.
Okay, so this is when we talk about the idea of identity. And this could include, so many things, the way we dress, the way we think, the way we talk, the way, like ideas and so on. So it's a very, very general concept, okay, that can accommodate so many things and so many domains and so many areas. But mainly, the individual characteristics that distinguish a person or a thing from other people around them.
Okay, then what do we mean by identity crisis?
Well, it's a very complicated, actually, term. Like we're talking about two words now. We're talking about identity and we're talking about a crisis. And a crisis means, a time of difficulty or hardship where people have to go through a lot of struggle and a lot of difficult time and so on. So when we talk about identity crisis, we're talking about there are so many definitions, actually. We can share them with our listeners, okay? The feeling that a person is not sure of who is he or what he is supposed to do. This is one, way to look at it. Another definition, we could share with our listeners is the condition of being uncertain of one's feelings about oneself characters, okay, goals, origins, and usually people talking about, this could happen at a teenage stage. Okay, this is the stage where people have a lot of changes going on, being exposed to so many things, around them. So they said this is the first stage where people get exposed to these changes or these kind of ideologies or identities around them. So they feel uncertain to whom they identify themselves with, okay, and that's another definition. I also read, in psychology they define identity crisis as a failure to achieve the ego identity during also the same stage. So you can see that there is a kind of the words that repeated in all these definitions are confusion, uncertainty, and there is a kind of exposure to different sources of identities. So these are the key words when we talk about identity crisis.
Yes. Now, what defines our identity? Yeah. What molds us to what we are today, Ahmed?
There are so many factors, actually.
Yes.
If we talk about the beginning, for example, family. And when we talk about family, we're not talking only about parents and brothers and sisters, but we talk about even the big definition of family, extended family, and so on. Also, we're talking about neighbors around us. We're talking also about the community we live in. We talk also about the schools we go to. Some people might go to universities and colleges. We talk about also like how accessible we are to the other social media around us. Okay.
Yes.
Nowadays you don't have to travel. Okay, you can get everything about the world happening around us with just a click of a button, and you can get a lot of information around from around the world. So I think these are all factors that contribute to forming our identity. And of course, when we talk about these are external factors, but also we have internal factors. Okay, so internal experiences also play a role in forming the identity we would like to adopt.
Yes.
Sometimes we have personal experiences that are individual, they are more about us, and that also play a role in forming the identity that we might have in the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, does a person, an individual, need to have an identity? Is it important to have an identity, or you just can be a part of any a mixture of any identity?
Well, at the end of the day, a mixture is going to lead you to identity. Whether we're not talking about whether this identity is or composes of one culture or one source. At the end of the day, you need to have identity. So it doesn't matter whether it is a mixture of different identities or one specific identity. You're talking about whether we need an identity or not, correct?
Yes.
We definitely need an identity. We need to be recognized. We'd like to know. We'd like to be known for something, and that need, okay, will always be developed through having what? An identity.
Yes. Most of the people, Ahmed, think that our identity is shaped by the way we dress. Yeah. Is this true?
Well, sometimes it does. It does give that kind of indication, okay? Because sometimes when we dress in a certain way, people will perceive us, in a certain way.
Yes.
Whether you're very liberal, or you're modern, or you're conservative, or you're narrow-minded, or you're very traditional. So it could contribute, on the way that people, identify you with.
Yes. Why I ask you this particular question is that I met one of the doctors from Kuwait, and he came to Oman to give a lecture, and he said he went to the UK, and he was giving a lecture in a university, and he said very clearly that among the students, I could tell which one of them is an Omani. Yeah, although they were all wearing Western clothes, but I could tell which one of them is an Omani.
Wow.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about this? How can someone identify you without identifying your clothes?
Sometimes, like actions speak louder than words. Sometimes, the way you deal with people, the way you behave, the way you act, sometimes, certain facial features could also identify you, from a big crowd of people. But I just feel that, maybe because he has a lot of interaction with a lot of Omanis, and also maybe he also interacted with these, audiences, and he can figure out, why these Omanis are, he can figure out, who is Omani and who is not Omani. So I would say mostly because of their personality, maybe because of the behavior.
Tell us a little bit more about this behavior. Yeah, the behavior of an Omani.
Yeah.
How do you identify an Omani among a crowd?
Okay, like I think Ali and Reem were talking today about, the idea of humility. Okay, this is, like what we used to hear from a lot of people around us, who are not Omanis.
Yes.
Even Helen today, spoke about the same thing, that Omanis usually are, I would not say every Omani, but, most of Omanis are humble.
Yes.
The way we talk to people, the way we perceive, things, the way we respect, people around us. We don't like to interfere, with other people's businesses in general, okay? This is at the political level, at the religious level, okay? So all these features, okay, or these characteristics, make Omanis, unique in terms of how people perceive them and how they, identify them with. And there are so many other factors, the idea of being generous, for example.
Yes.
Even if you are you don't have to be generous with only if you have a lot of money, or having a big meal, for that person. But you can be generous with even the limited resources that you have.
Yes.
Okay, you're willing to share. The idea of willing to share with other people, even if you have limited resources, is a sign of generosity. So there are so many characteristics that Omanis are known for, and I guess this is also a very good thing that we have to acknowledge, okay, as Omanis, and as because from these kind of comments and feedback we're getting from people, we will continue doing what we're doing, okay, and also this will give us a chance actually to tell our kids, look at the way the world is looking at us. So you need to also continue doing what we are doing, because it's a good thing. If people acknowledge this from outside, that means it's a good thing. Because if it was a bad thing, people wouldn't talk about it, or they would talk about it in a very negative way. And so the guy that you were talking about, okay, the doctor, is a very good example for this. Okay,
Yes.
So I think it's a very good thing to have.
Now, Ahmed, what is making Omanis hold on. Some Omanis hold on to this identity. Yeah, in the region, maybe many of the nations around us, maybe they lost that identity. But how come Oman is still, to a big extent, is still holding on to this identity?
Well, I was also reading, one of the tweets, because of what's happening around us nowadays, and they were talking about the idea that Omanis are still innocent in a very positive way.
Yes.
The positive meaning of innocence, because sometimes being too innocent is not a good thing.
Yes.
Okay. So I think part of it is that the culture itself is still living the innocence stage. Okay. We haven't been, let's say, polluted by a lot of ideas, coming from outside.
Yeah, but Ahmed, someone would argue that we are exposed to everything,
Yes.
like everyone else. Yeah, we have mainstream media, we have social networking, we have the TV channels, we have everything. And Omanis maybe travel abroad more than others. Yeah, since those days Omanis were travelers, were traders. So how come we're still holding on?
Well, definitely this, coming back to the idea of whether religion is playing a role in this or not.
Yes.
When you have a strong belief in your religion, okay, that will drive you to do a lot of things, okay, based on your religion, not based on other factors.
So do we say that the Omani community is a religious community?
I would say to some extent, okay, and because of the impact of culture in any society.
Yes.
Okay, sometimes we don't know this is a religious concept. We do it because the culture promotes for it.
Yeah, but we don't know that
maybe it's not
religious.
A lot of people maybe have no idea whether this is a religious concept derived from an
like
Islamic
hospitality.
Yes. Okay. A lot of people think this is part of the culture, but it's actually part of the religion.
Yes.
Okay. You might go around and ask somebody why you're so generous, for example. He might answer you because Omanis are generous. And this brings us to the idea whether are we Omani Muslims or Muslims Omanis.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is also a debatable,
which is very important.
Yes.
Which is very important.
So which comes first, the religion or the cultural identification that we tend to, or affiliation that we tend to refer to most of the time?
I think.
What do you think?
To me personally, when I grew up, I grew up with the identity of being an Omani and a Muslim.
Okay.
Yeah, but after maturity, after realizing the truth about things and the main source for the values that we hold on to, I found out that I'm a Muslim, and then I'm an Omani. Yeah, Islam is far more important to me, than nationalism. Yeah, and my nationality is derived from my religion.
Yeah.
So you cannot have an inferior over the superior.
Yes.
Yeah. So Islam has to come number one.
Yeah. And this is what, a lot of Middle Eastern countries, suffer from. Okay, what comes first? Setting priorities,
Yes.
Is it religion or is it, as you said,
nationalism?
Okay. And we suffer, and this is, we value nationalism more than, our religious, teachings, okay, and principles. As a result, we start to create, barriers from the beginning. You're Omani, I'm not Omani, he's whatever. And then this would bring a lot of clashes, because you start to have, first of all, a mental barrier. And then, it could develop to another barrier, which is actually, the idea of not accepting, other people. Because we will definitely differ. Even Omanis are different, okay? But the idea of accepting, one fact that we all belong to one group, which is Islam, okay, will make us, under one umbrella. We are like one body. If there's a pain in one part, the whole body will feel that pain.
Would like to remind our callers with our numbers. They can call us and share their thoughts about the topic. Our number is 24602058. 2460258. You can also visit our Facebook page, Life as It Is. You'll find all our audio recordings from the previous episodes on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Now, Ahmed, I would like to share with you my personal experience.
Go ahead, please.
When I went abroad for studies,
Mm-hmm.
before going, I was, isolated in this community,
Mm-hmm.
with Omanis.
Mm-hmm.
So I always identify myself as Omani. But when I went abroad, and then I found out that there are many Muslim communities around,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily that they are Omanis.
Yeah.
And we had to stick together because we are minority.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we shared our meals, we studied
Mhm.
together, we went shopping together.
Supported
So
each other. Yeah.
The nationalism automatically disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at some point of time, we even invited some friends to stay with us in our house
Mm.
who were not Omanis.
Mm-hmm.
And we never felt that there is a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we share the same
Values.
of Islam. And that was molding our identity.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think Islam being the universal religion or a
Mhm.
way of life,
Yeah.
it makes it easy to shape up that identity that we're talking about. Yeah, because it's if you have a particular identity,
Mm.
yeah, which is based on your nationalism,
Mm.
and you go to somewhere else where people have their own identity
Mm.
because of their nationalism, then you might have a clash because of the two different identities. But if you have the Islamic identity, then you're all on the same page.
Yeah.
As long as you're deriving
Mm-hmm.
the identity from the original sources
Yeah.
of the identity.
Yeah. And like this, some people might argue, that saying that maybe the nationalism, doesn't appear in such situations because, as you said, you're the minority, minority there. So you're not the majority anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. So you need something, to hold on with. Okay. And so you go around and said, they're not Omanis. Okay. What is next? The Arabs. So you go to the next level.
Yes.
And then, if you don't find them Arabs, they say, they're Muslims. Okay. So sometimes the number, will determine. I'm just saying that the other side of the story, I'm just saying that, some people might argue and say it's only about the number. But maybe, when you go back again to your country, okay, the nationalism level will increase because you are surrounded with a lot of people from the same group.
Yeah.
Okay. So we cannot sometimes, measure this kind of thing unless, we put people in different situations and then we can come to conclusions.
But I think, the identity of nationalism affects later on our Islamic identity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because today, if you go to many of the Western countries where you have the minorities are the Muslims and are supposed to be united, yeah, because of that Islamic identity,
Yeah.
you would find different mosques.
Correct.
And you'd find this is an Arab mosque, this is a Somali mosque,
Yeah,
this is a
Pakistan
Pakistani mosque,
yeah.
this is a Bangladeshi mosque, this is a Turkish mosque, yeah, which really goes against that principle of the Islamic identity.
Yeah, or unity.
Yeah, and it is all based on nationalism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
correct.
many Muslims have lost it.
Yes.
Yeah, where is that concept in Islam? Is that I am with the truth, even if it's among my family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We, unfortunately, it depends on the level of your faith and belief system. Okay, if some people value nationalism over the religious identity, for so many reasons, lack of education, lack of knowledge, lack of religious knowledge specifically, and that will create this kind of gap.
I think Ahmed, we are just repeating history, what
Yeah.
has happened in the past. At the time when the Prophet, peace be upon him, has passed away, there was a person who claimed to be a prophet, who is Musaylim al-Kadhab.
Yeah.
And he had thousands of followers, yeah, who were originally Muslims.
Yeah.
And then they started following this man. And after this man was defeated and killed, some of the companions asked the followers, why did you follow this man while you knew
Yeah.
that he was a liar?
Yeah.
They said, because he was from our tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our duty was to stand with a man from our tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tribalism, nationalism, it's the same.
It's the same, yeah.
It's coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not saying that nationalism is a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's good to be united
Yeah.
under
Yeah.
one roof. It's to have that identity, distinguishing yourself from others, but not to forget the original identity that we belong to.
Yes.
Yeah, and if we hold on to that original identity, then we can never go astray. We can never go lost in terms of the definitions that you said at the beginning, being confused, being lost, not knowing what identity to choose.
And another thing that because we value nationalism, I will not say we as like everybody, but a lot of people sometimes value nationalism. Okay, as a result of that, okay, we start even showing disrespect to people from the same group.
Yes.
Look, sometimes, like even I've seen it, here sometimes and even outside in some of the Muslim countries. Okay, if you are from a certain nationality, although you're a Muslim, okay, people will show less respect to you because of your nationality. Okay, forgetting that, you have to show respect to that person, okay, because first of all, he shares the same values, the same religion, the same, identity. Okay, of course, like for us, respect as Muslims is for everybody.
Yes.
Okay, regardless of your religion. Okay, but imagine that, we're from the same group or from the same identity, religious identity, and we still have this discrimination, attitude or personality or mentality that, because he is coming from a certain country, okay, this country is considered to be not a well-developed, country. Or because he's from this nationality, we should look down at that person.
Yes.
So I think we need to stop looking at people, okay, based on their backgrounds or their ethnicities or their nationalities. There's one common thing, and I would say the core thing that should unite everyone, which is, the religious identity in this case, which is, the Islamic identity, if you want.
Okay, I think it's time for a break. Let us take a short break and then we continue the discussion.
Okay.
When I'm planning a business, I need an experienced advisor.
When I'm expanding operations, I require integrated solutions.
When I'm faced with challenges, I need someone I can rely on.
At Bank Soha, our journey towards service excellence begins with you. We are committed to a customer-focused approach for realizing the challenges of small and medium businesses, marking your journey with remarkable milestones. Make a difference to your banking experience with Bank Soha. Call 24730000 today.
Lulu BMW Dream Drive. This season, luxury awaits you at Lulu. Shop and win 6 BMW X5 35i and other fabulous prizes. With every purchase of 10 Riyals, get a chance to win up to 6 BMW X5 35i and 30 Icon products like 48-inch LED TVs, top-load automatic washing machines, air coolers, halogen air fryers, tablets and lots more. Shop at Lulu today and stand to drive home your dream. Promotion valid till 5th August 2015. Lulu, where the world comes to shop.
Let us take you on a spiritual journey through our voice this Ramadan in Life as It Is. Explore opportunities and tranquility with the young voices of tomorrow on the Nation Station 90.4 FM from Saturday to Thursday, 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Engineer Muhammad Farouk, Janab Al-Saida, Maya Al-Said, Ahmed Al Matani, and Hatim Al Abdilsalam. Call us on 246-02058 or text us at 90406 to explore your potentials like never before. This Ramadan, here on the Nation Station.
You lift me up high, you spread my wings and fly me to the sky. I feel so alive, it's like my soul thrives in your light. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. Ramadan, Ramadan,
Dear listeners, welcome back to your program Life as It Is, and today we're talking about identity crisis with myself, Hatim Al Abdilsalam, and my brother Ahmed, sorry, keep on calling you Muhammad, Ahmed Al Matani.
As long as you know me, then it doesn't matter.
Well,
okay?
Ahmed and
I'm
Muhammad
fine.
is the same.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's okay. I'm happy with that too.
So we were talking about the Islamic identity, and you're going to explain more what we mean by Islamic identity. But I just wanted to share about a video that I saw on the internet, and this video talks about how people bring their national identity into the Islamic identity, claiming that it is part of Islam. Yeah, so this video was talking about a Muslim. He was talking to a convert who reverted to Islam. So he was telling him, have you eaten biryani? And the revert said, no, what is biryani? I've never eaten biryani. I said, how can you be a Muslim and you haven't eaten biryani? Do you sit on the floor when you eat?
Wow.
Yeah, he says, no, I sit on a chair. Yeah. He said, no, but this is not Islamic. Yeah, you have to sit on the floor. So there is a lot of things out of the national identity that is being brought up into
cultural.
Brought up into the Islamic identity.
Yeah.
And people became very, very confused of what is the Islamic identity and what is the national identity.
Yeah.
Let us make something very, very clear, that Islam is not against cultures.
Yeah. Definitely.
Islam is welcome to all cultures, as long as it's within the boundaries of Islam.
Yeah.
As long as it
It
not
doesn't
contradict
take you out of
the teachings of Islam. So
So-
Ahmed, tell us, what is the Islamic identity?
Well, Islamic identity could be defined as a way of life of the Muslims. Okay, and that includes, the beliefs, the practices, ideologies that are derived from Quran and Sunnah.
Yes.
Okay, so as you said, whatever could fall into this kind of categories, okay, then the Islamic teaching, then it should be okay. That means Islam can accommodate all the cultures as long as there is no clash between the main principles and what is brought from that culture.
The thing, Ahmed, is there are two distinct lines in Islam of what is lawful and what is forbidden. And then in the middle there is a gray area.
Yeah.
And that gray area is the one that the culture identity goes in.
Yeah.
And everybody tries and fits and takes out things from that gray area and claiming that it is part of Islam or it is not part of the Islamic identity. Yeah. So
And we've been advised to avoid that gray area anyway.
I would give an example.
Yeah.
For example, in Oman, men wear dishdashes. Yeah. And women wear black abaya.
Yeah, they have.
Is that Islamic identity?
No.
Or is it national identity?
No. I'm worried that, we might, fire people now, with these, shocking facts. I mean, this is not Islamic, but this is, like more of a culture thing.
Yes.
Especially, if we want to focus on the black abaya. Okay.
So for example, if one wants to distinguish what is Islamic, so we would say that the clothes have to be not
Modest,
revealing,
yeah.
modest,
Vast,
covers the parts of the body,
Yeah.
and very, very loose,
Vast, yeah.
and not having colorful, attractive colors to the opposite sex. That is Islamic.
Yeah.
But what is not Islamic is being either white or black.
Black, yeah.
That's
another thing, we also sometimes, this happens even with, as you said, with the new converts, where we try to impose our cultural beliefs, into these people because we want them to look like us.
Yes.
We're so happy, we're very excited, to see them, joining the club, or the group. But at the same time, you cannot, derive them from their own culture. Especially that you cannot say that everything in that particular culture is wrong.
Yes.
There are a lot of beautiful things, from other cultures that even Islam would encourage us to adopt, from these cultures. So the concept of imposing is a very kind of common feature in our society sometimes.
There was a program yesterday of Dr. Weil and Dr. Lamia, and they were talking about the people who accepted Islam. And there was a woman who called yesterday. Her name is Camila. She's from Brazil, and she said something very important. Dr. Weil asked her, when you embraced Islam, okay, did you lose your Brazilian identity? Yeah, and she said something very important. She said, even though that I'm a Muslim, I went back to Brazil, I still continue to be a Brazilian. Yeah, I did not lose my identity as a Brazilian.
Yeah.
And this is what Islam propagates.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should follow the Islamic identity, but also do not forget where you're coming from.
Yes.
Yeah, and who you are and what is your culture. Yeah. So as long as it is not contradicting with the Islamic identity, then
it should be fine.
Yeah, you should be fine. You should be identified as a Brazilian, as an Indian, as an Arab, as an Omani.
But what comes to the top of the list is that being a Muslim.
Yes.
Okay, and that's the main I would say generator for the whole process.
Yes.
That first of all we acknowledge the religious identity, and then under that you can still keep your own culture and your traditions under that, as long as you said do not clash with the Islamic teaching and principles.
Okay, now Ahmed, between the Omani identity and the Islamic identity, it is very, very similar, and there is a very thin line.
Yes.
Yeah? What has happened to our Omani identity? Are we going to lose it? Yeah, are we suffering from it now? The next generation, young people today, do they still have it? Because I've spoken to some of the adults, and they're complaining about the young people now that we have. They look different, they talk different, they behave different. They've almost lost the identity, both the Omani identity and the Islamic identity. Yeah, is this happening? Is this true, or is it something just in a minority group and we shouldn't really worry about it?
Well, I wouldn't be so concerned about the amount of impact. Okay, I'll say it is happening, whether it is in a small quantity or in a bad quantity. What I'm so concerned about, it is happening.
Yes.
Okay, and if it is happening, that means there is a possibility of having it in a bigger quantity, scale, and then we'll have a problem. So now let's talk about that we have it, regardless whether it is in a big scale or in a small one. We do have a lot of forms of losing that identity that we are known for. Like when you were talking about the Kuwaiti professor who was able to identify the Omanis.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sure that these Omanis that they were around there represented a lot of our values and so on. So we'll talk about
okay, we have our first guest for today is Mr. Shakil from the UK. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, brother. How are you?
Fine, thank you, brother Shakil. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very good, thank you.
Thank you for accepting our invitation again, brother Shakil.
Yes, thank you.
We know that you are working in the education system, and you work with young people today. And we want you to tell us your observation as a Muslim and as a foreigner from Oman. Yeah.
Yes.
The young people, our young people today, are they losing their identity?
I've just discussed this with my wife, as she's a teacher as well, and the observation regarding. I'll talk about Oman first. I think there's quite a rich heritage here and a rich identity that the parents are still promoting within their youth. There's a rich heritage here that the Omanis can identify that they are Omani by their dress, by their conduct and their manners, and just their general, aura, the essence. For me, I don't see a crisis. I you use that word, but I don't see it as a crisis. But then if you look at it from an outsider's point of view, when I came here, I was very surprised at the Western secular influence that it seems to have on Oman. Of course, it's the way back home in the UK and in the States and everywhere I've travelled. But as a Muslim, on the other flip side of it, it's scary that, we have things like our beloved Prophet, the Sunnah, and Quran as a guide, and we sort of neglect this, and we adopt the Western manners and mannerisms, which they don't always work in tangent with Islam, to be honest. And these are just personal observations and, critical professional observations as well. But I think, just walking down the malls and walking around, you see ladies that are very modestly dressed in abaya and hijab, and then the daughter, for example, will be in like a little frilly top and short skirt.
Yeah.
And the same with the men. I mean, myself, I wear shorts and t-shirt on the beach and around, and I also wear a dish dasher and, as we call it in the UK, jilbab, like for men. So it's finding a balance. Last time we spoke, I really emphasized the need for a balance in lifestyle. But in terms of identity, it's about, again, it comes back to that responsibility of parenting and what we are teaching our children to be and how to be as well. As a Muslim, as a young adult, as a child, as a grandchild, our responsibilities and our role in life. And we were just talking, my wife and I, regarding, like here, there was a rich industry of fishing, for example, let's say in Oman. And it would be interesting for me as an outsider to actually see, do the children go out to sea with their grandparents or their fathers and look at how they survived,
Yes.
2 or 3 generations ago. I see sometimes the young boys, they're learning to do the ropes, the knots, in places like sea, near the fish areas. And for me, coming back to the identity thing, Hatim, is that I think it's really important that they keep, the Omani parents and adults, they keep putting that emphasis on, this is where we came from. I mean, alhamdulillah, this is why I live in Oman. I've never met a more humble sect of people, And I think that is a credit to the history and to the identity of Omanis. The manners, the general courtesy that's extended from Omani people to myself as an expat and to each other. But there's a big influence as well, a Western influence, like you talk about identity, that we have to be careful of. We don't want it to seep into our Islamic values and the way we really see life and how it should be lived. I'm not a perfect Muslim, as most of us aren't, but, we still try to struggle each day like a mini jihad that we have in ourselves to pray 5 times, to keep ourselves clean, to keep our thoughts clean, to fulfill our duties to our parents and elders.
Yeah.
And
Brother Shakil,
I think
it would be good, to explain the word jihad in this context, because it could be a scary word,
Okay, sorry. But that's how I understand it. That's my trouble and strife in life, is that to continue my battles, my inner battles that make me a better person and ultimately, inshallah, a better Muslim. With regards to identity, I think there's a big, again, it goes back to, I won't say Western, but a bigger influence from outside, that is fashion for everybody, men, women, children, the music industry, TV, media. And I think it's really prominent in everybody's society. And I think the clash or the differences here is that you still have a strong hold on the heritage of Oman and what the real identity of being an Omani is. And then you have the Western influence that's pushing itself down the throats, and people are exposed to the TV, the advertisements, the marketing products in the supermarket. And, you see the kids, when we used to go shopping with our parents, we'd be sat in the trolley and Dad would push the trolley, or Mum would push the trolley up to next to the chocolate aisle or somewhere. And it's instinctive. Kids want to grab whatever they see. And I think it's the same from the outside influence, whether it's the game stations that they play on the video games, or the latest iPhone, or, it's modern technology as well. It has a real serious damaging effect on society, I feel, personally. When they talk about social media, I don't think there's anything more antisocial than the applications that are being promoted as social, You have boys and girls putting fake ID on and having 2 or 3 identities and pretending to be him and pretending to be her, and it's a lot of confusion for our youth.
Or, do whatever they cannot do in reality, so it's a fake, personality.
It's not a reality. It's a total distraction and deception that, for me and you to sit down and meet and discuss whatever it may be, current affairs, fashion, anything, Islam, I think actually just sitting down, face-to-face, in person, is where we can bring about change and maintain our identity. you sit and talk with me, you see how I dress, how I conduct myself, and vice versa. And I think the social element of that is really important.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there is a big. The word crisis, I don't know, but you'll know, obviously living here yourself and seeing the change over the generations. But my parents came recently, as you know, and they were very surprised. You know, there's sections in supermarkets that accommodate the non-Muslims, and we're talking about Islam and identity. And it was really surprising for them that in a Muslim country that we accommodate them. That's fine. But it was just a shock, really. And it was hard for my mom to comprehend that why this is a Muslim country. Why are we accommodating certain products to? And I said, Mom, this is the sign of the times. Maybe this is the way forward. Rather than having it illegal and banning it and making everything contraband, you provide it for everybody, and then it's open and free. And we had a long topical discussion whether that works or whether it doesn't. And we're not the powers that be in this country. We just follow the rules, and like what you said, we keep our head above water and try to maintain a good law-abiding livelihood. But yeah, there's a lot of issues regarding identity. I always promote it within the classroom. I always ask the children about their heritage and what they know about it, and I love to learn about it. I love the fact that there's a really, again, the word is rich, a rich heritage here that a lot of the youth seem to understand. We also encourage it within our school that we do field trips to the farms. I know a lot of people in Oman, they seem to have farms.
Yes.
In one area, Barca, where I went, where the egg farm is, where the poultry farm is, we went there. And, there's a real sense of ownership and identity that, yes, this is our family name, this is our family tradition. And just going back a few generations, Hatim, is that there was a time when children were out to work for the right reasons, in my opinion.
Yes.
That sense of pride and fulfillment that, yes, we went out to the field and picked potatoes today, and we put them on the table, and we as a family, we reap the benefits of our hard work.
Yes.
And in today's society, there's a very easy way of life, a very convenient way of life, where we go to the supermarket and we buy the carrots peeled and chopped and just ready to eat.
That's right.
The food chains, the fast food chains, there's an abundance of them as well. And the other side, again, the beautiful side of it is I've been to Omani friend's house, and the children are sat there making, I don't know what you call it here, like the stuffed vegetables with rice and meat inside, like the dolma kifta. And the young girls are
biryani or mandi.
Yeah. Yes, and they're preparing samosa, sambusa, and there's a real warm family environment taking place in Ramadan.
Well, I think, Brother Shakil, when it comes to food, we have not lost our identity for sure.
No, alhamdulillah.
Well,
no.
I would slightly disagree in terms of the choices.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Brother Shakil. Thank you so much for your contribution, Brother Shakil. And it's always nice to have you on the show.
Okay, take care.
Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay. Assalamu.
Yeah, I Brother Shakil, cover a lot of things, and which is our next point, which is forms of identity crisis.
Yes.
And he covered so many things, when it comes to food and clothing and so on. If we want to focus a little bit about, the way we dress, for example.
And I don't think only it's, it's coming from the Western civilization. I think it's more than that, because, for example, when it comes to morals, to ethics, things like that, I wouldn't mind seeing someone wearing differently, modestly, but differently. I wouldn't mind that. But I would mind someone being arrogant, having a terrible attitude. Yeah. In the past, for example, if you are in an office and an elderly person comes, you would stand to greet. Yeah. My dad was telling me the other day. He told me that he had some papers he wanted to type. So he went to one of these shops that are doing these formalities, and the timings on the door, it was written, I think, from 4 in the afternoon until 9 in the evening. And he arrived at the shop at 8:30. So you have another half an hour before the shop closed. And he entered and he stood on the queue. And then when he approached the young lady who was working there, and she just said, "No, we're not taking any more." And he said, come on, I've been waiting here for half an hour. I've been in line, and the door of the shop is open. So I came in. Obviously, it's not closed. And she refused completely. She said, I will not do it. Do whatever you want, but I'm not doing it. My time is up. And that's it. I mean, things like these really irritate you. When you find the young generation, some of them, not all of them, of course, are disrespectful. I mean, to me, what harm would it be, even if it's 9 o'clock, if I take another 10 minutes to do something for this old man? It would make him feel good. It would show a sign of respect. And this is part of our teachings, Islamic teachings, and part of our Omani hospitality and tradition. We can't be that rude. People don't even greet you. Nowadays, sometimes you go to the bank and the guy just says, give me your ID or give me your card. He doesn't even greet you. He doesn't even look at you. My wife went to one of the private hospitals, and she was standing in line, and there was a European lady in front of her, and then the Omani lady at the reception, she asked for the insurance card from the European lady, and then the European lady smiled and said, it would help if you smiled. Why do we wait until it reached to a level when someone comes and tells us something like this? It has to be something, especially for the people who are working in the service industry. You're providing service for others. It's part of our nature to smile, to be friendly, to be nice. It doesn't make a difference if it's within your time or it's. We have double standards now.
We have a lot of forms of confusion. Actually, the word that we emphasized at the beginning, uncertainty and confusion. Some people might say, we're trying to be practical. Trying to be punctual. Okay, but at the same time, being punctual. I'm sure that the person would say such a comment, to you. He usually comes late to work. Okay, or he will just spend, more time on a break time than he's supposed to do that. I don't want to generalize, but I've seen it. You find somebody who will tell you, oh, you know what, time is up. Okay. But if you observe, the routine of his work, from the beginning till the end, you'll find that he is violating a lot of the rules of that place. So, we pick, when to apply the rules sometimes. This generation actually is facing a confusion, crisis, I would say. And we need to really talk, as Brother Shakil, was talking about, the role of parents. Has to play a very important role when it comes to this. Okay, we don't talk to our kids about these values anymore. And sometimes there is also the parents are confused. Now with all these misconceptions going on about Islam and the wrong practices by a lot of people who claim to be Muslims.
It's making it even worse.
So a lot of parents say, should we really teach our kids the Islamic teachings, because they might get confused and they might, join these people. But actually, these people who are involved in this kind of, wrong practices and wrong, actions are actually not well educated. So they are easily to be led. When you have a lot of knowledge from the beginning, when your parents talk to you about the Islamic teaching, the right Islamic teaching from the beginning, there isn't that much room for people to influence you. But when you are empty from inside, spiritually and mentally and, in terms of knowledge, definitely you will be easily led by these people who are trying to have a hidden agenda.
When we were talking to Brother Shakil, he was saying that I'm not really sure about the word crisis. But actually, I think it is a crisis. Because it's affecting all of us. Once I was invited to a conference as a speaker, and it was an institution that trains people to become professionals in the medical field. So these people, when they graduate, they will be taking care of our parents, the sick ones in the hospitals. So their job requires them to be very professional, very ethical. Just imagine, one of the speakers alongside myself was a young lady, and when she went on the stage and she was talking, these young men, they were flirting with her. They were whistling, they were commenting, they were, disrespecting her. Their voices were very loud. And I could not comprehend that these people, one day they're going to become professionals. Yeah, they're going to work in hospitals. They're going to be responsible citizens. Of course, I don't generalize that all of them.
Yeah.
But the biggest majority in the past, we had something like this, but it was one or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they would not dare to do this in public. Yeah. Because it's shameful to our community, to our religion. But nowadays it's something normal. I thought maybe, okay, I may be exaggerating. So I went and I spoke to the lecturers. Yeah, and I told them, is this behavior common? And they said, you have not seen anything yet.
This is not...
The students, they don't even greet us when they come into the class. Yeah. And I don't know where they're getting this from. Maybe later on we're going to talk about what Shakir has said, that the influence of the Western civilization, that there is a lot of good things in the Western civilization that people are not following. Yeah. They just pick and choose things that are irrelevant, things are which are nonsense.
I want to share one thing. These people, unfortunately, they are confused. Okay.
Do you think so? They're confused.
They are very confused, and actually, this confusion is because of ignorance and lack of knowledge. Okay, and this comes back to the role of parents and the role of schools in emphasizing the importance of these teachings and these principles and values and ethics. Nowadays, people, you go to the school, the teacher will be so concerned about teaching content.
Yes.
Okay. But he or she will not be interested in teaching values. He said, I'm teaching them for the test. They need to pass the test. They need to graduate. They need to get, high marks. But, as an educator, you need to emphasize the roles of values, okay? Because these people have to interact with people around them. They have to be influential, okay, in a very positive way. So if we don't do that kind of job as parents and educators in the schools, definitely we will have, a lot of people. I just want to say
something before we go for the next break. I think people, the officials are realizing this now today, that we are suffering from morality.
Yes.
Yeah, lack of morality. And I spoke to one of the professionals in the HR business, and they said, nowadays when we recruit people, we prefer recruiting someone with less qualification but good morals. We can train them to become better in their jobs instead of employing people who are highly qualified without morals. You can't change people with low morals, with bad attitude.
Okay.
Yeah. Let us go for a break.
Yeah.
Want to win a car with all the features you ever wanted? The Geely M Grand 7 can be yours. Just SMS your name and location and say that one thing you like the most about Geely, and you could become the lucky winner and win one. Send your SMS to 944-0666 944-0666 today.
Lulu BMW Dream Drive. This season, luxury awaits you at Lulu. Shop and win 6 BMW X5 35i and other fabulous prizes. With every purchase of 10 Rials, get a chance to win up to 6 BMW X5 35i and 30 Icon products like 48-inch LED TVs, top-load automatic washing machines, air coolers, halogen air fryers, tablets and lots more. Shop at Lulu today and stand to drive home your dream. Promotion valid till 5th August 2015. Lulu, where the world comes to shop.
Let us take you on a spiritual journey through our voice this Ramadan in Life as It Is. Explore opportunities and tranquility with the young voices of tomorrow on the Nation Station 90.4 FM from Saturday to Thursday, 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Engineer Muhammad Farouk, Janab Al-Saida, Maya Al-Said, Ahmed Al Matani, and Hatim Al Abdilsalam. Call us on 246-02058 or text us at 90406 to explore your potentials like never before. This Ramadan, here on the Nation Station.
You lift me up high, you spread my wings and fly me to the sky. I feel so alive, it's like my soul thrives in your light. But how I wish you'd be here with me all year around. Ramadan, 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 ya Habib. Ramadan, Ramadan, ليتك دوما قريب.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everybody. I think we have a call. Is Reem online? Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Salam.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, Brother Hatim and Ahmed. How are you?
Good afternoon, Reem.
Good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Lovely topic, mashallah. And I'd like to share how I come to understand the concept of identity.
Okay.
And I think the essence of it is trying to understand our positioning in the world. And I think it's more of a sense of belonging.
Mhm.
So I really sense that that's why, someone who ends up traveling gets to reflect back on their identity because they're put in different situations.
Yeah.
And people identify themselves. Some could be in terms of nationality, which most people would identify themselves with.
Mhm.
Some people in terms of using religion. Some even in terms of profession. I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, I'm a designer, or sometimes even as hobbies, where you identify yourself as, yes, I'm into this hobby.
Yeah.
And so the way I see it is creating a sense of our positioning and where we most belong. And then I believe when we talk about identity crisis, I think it's more of sometimes the confusion of where do we truly belong? How do we truly position ourselves in the world? And eventually, I personally say that an identity that we all share is that we are human. And I see that as the base, as human qualities. And you mentioned a word that I love, values, and seeing that we all have that shared identity of human values and virtues, and which if we don't have it, and we build other identities on it, it might just fall apart. There isn't a solid base. And I think that's where confusion happens, is we don't know how to position ourselves, and we just end up kind of putting on makeup or identifying ourselves. Some people say, oh, I'm proud to be of a certain nationality, but then they don't look at the qualities that means, and they might take it at a superficial way. So I believe at its base, the shared identity of all of us is the human qualities, and then building on that in terms of how what is a priority to ourselves, what matters most.
Reem, I really liked when you spoke about the human value. Yeah, the most important human value is goodness.
Yes.
Yeah, even if we don't belong to any other identity, if we only have that human value of goodness, then I think we'll be okay. Because
that's the base for all of us, yes.
There's no one on this globe that doesn't want goodness. Yeah,
yes.
We all want goodness, and we can live in harmony when we have this value of goodness.
Exactly. And then we continue to build the richness of who we are based on our interests, based on our beliefs. We have that base of goodness that connects us.
And I would totally agree with you, Reem. I remember when I went outside, Oman, and that was the first time, where I could get exposed to different cultures at a different level. And I was told, before I left Oman, that I have to change. I have to, act in a certain way in order to be perceived, in a very positive way by the society. But actually, I said, you know what? Let me give it a try and stick to my own principles and my culture. Yeah. And I said, I was really shocked, and I came to the conclusion that the more you respect yourself and your values and your own culture, the more people respect you in that different culture. Okay.
Yes. And because you're showing them respect as well.
Exactly.
That goodness that connects us. Yes.
Yeah, because the culture that I belong to should also really values other people's culture. Okay, we might be different. We might, not have a lot of things in common, but at least I have to show respect to the other person because they are very proud of who they are. Okay, and it doesn't mean that I have to give up my personality or my culture because I want to fit into that society.
I witnessed this, Ahmed, when I went to Japan and Korea.
Yeah.
And one of my friends from Japan, he told me that we respect the people who respect their own values. Yeah. So when we consider our values to be the most important thing in our lives and we'll never let go of these values and this identity that we have, other people respect you.
Yes.
And they accept you as you are.
There's a pressure that we created actually, from nowhere, that we think that whenever we need to interact with people from different cultures, we have to completely change.
Or compromise.
Okay.
In order to belong. Yes. We get that perception that in order to belong, we have to. And I think then actually that's where, by having that base, then we build the richness of our identities. You can talk about the Omani culture, you can talk about the food, you can talk about the traditional clothing, and that actually enriches then that base. And it becomes beautiful, and we learn about people's different customs, traditions, and interests.
But this is also back to the idea how we look at our own culture, how we value our own culture. And because when you are not valuing your own culture, you will tend to change because you're not happy with what you have in your society or in your context. As a result,
that's how we make sure that we connect with the qualities of it. Not just the superficial of what a culture means, but the qualities that culture portrays.
Yes.
And then to live those qualities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Reem, for calling in and participating in the show.
Thank you.
Yes. Hatim, I think maybe we should talk more about, some forms of this identity crisis.
Yes.
And when we talk about the concept of confusion, let's give a very, practical example. Okay.
Can I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, these days, some of the times when I'm at the mall, I'm really confused. I cannot make out whether the person in front of me is a guy or is a girl.
Wow.
Yeah. This is really embarrassing.
Yeah.
I don't know why would you put yourself in that place, in that position.
Well, it's part of the fashion. But you need to cope
at
up
the
with
same
the
time,
changes.
At the same time, you have the common sense. You have your community. You have your religion. You have lots of things. And why would you think that your identity is inferior? Why would you want to adopt something else?
Because you want to look cool, actually.
We'll find out whether looking cool is being a
good thing or not.
Is a good thing or not. Okay, we have our next guest on the program, which is Mr. Hashil Hatmi. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Brother Hashil, how are you?
Tayyib, alhamdulillah. I'm all right.
Alhamdulillah. It's always nice to have you on the show.
Barakallah feek.
And thank you for accepting our invitation at a short notice.
No problem.
Brother Hashil, you've lived in the West,
yes,
as a young person. And I have a very important question. Some of the young people today, they stick to their values, their identity when they are in their country. Once they leave, the airport, they are totally different people. Yeah, they change completely and they let go of their identity. What makes a person let go of their identity, especially when they go to the West?
I remember even in the beginning days when I first finished Saniyama and I first traveled to the UK. I was in Manchester. Before I went to London, I was in Manchester doing my foundation year there.
Yes.
And I used to hear rumors from some of the Omanis that some of the Khalijiyat or the Khaliji sisters, not that I'm pointing anyone, but from some of the, I'll just say some of the countries, I don't want to point anyone, usually from the airport of their country, you'd see them wearing like the hijab, the abaya and everything, and
fully
the
covered.
moment they get in the actual plane, everything just comes off, and Allah, and this is just rumors, but it tends to, I always wondered like this two-faced type of thing, double standards that people tend to have, especially us students, us young ones, because here we're taught in our own countries, we have Islam, the Islamic country, we have the masajids are close to us, we have our parents who try to teach us the tradition, the culture, and the heritage.
Yes.
And once we leave, the country, we're leaving our parents, we're leaving our families, we're going to go study, we tend to have this mentality to think, oh, now I'm free, now no one can see me. Knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching us, so we just tend to think that, I have a different life there and I have another life here.
But Brother Hashil, for the sake of argument, maybe some would say that they are just, concerned that they might not be accepted in the new community that they're going to, yeah, because of their culture, because of the way they look, the way they talk, the way so they just have this fear that I might not be able to, fit in. That's why I need to change. So is that the case?
Sometimes, yes. I mean, that argument can come up. And that argument, what happens is that because of what is going on with Islam today, a lot of us youngsters, when we go there, we tend to be a bit shy representing it. We tend to not be able to, we're not able to represent it correctly. So, for example, we can start changing our names.
Yeah.
Muhammad to Mo, Bilal to
Eddie,
and etc. Muhammad to Eddie, Jasmine to Jazz. Some people tend to start changing their name a little bit, and also the way they look, just to try to fit in with the people.
Yeah, very true.
So what happens then? And then when you start imitating others and you let go, what happens when you come for the summer break?
Well, you've spent, at least say, for example, you spend about a year, and then you've gotten to know the culture a bit. When I say the culture, I'm talking about the youth culture over there. And, you've integrated, you've gotten to know people, and then you come here in the summer, either you want to come back the same as the way you've changed, or you want to come back and pretend that, I'm still upon, I still pray my salawat. For instance, you go there, it's so easy to stop praying. To abandon salah when you go to the West, it's so easy. So that when you come back, you might come back to it a little bit just to show that nothing has changed. Or some people, it will just be blatant to see that, yes, there's some changes here and there from he and her.
Yeah. So.
Brother Hashil, isn't this painful to live this contradiction within yourself?
Of course. I mean, you need to live your life. Like, you need to be the same. You need to be unique. You need to be original. You can't be having two types of personality. I mean, personally, with me, the UK, me and my two brothers, especially me and my elder brother, when we went to the UK, we were completely different people than who we were today. We went there, as we say, in the Jahiliyyah days, or we went there not practicing. We wanted to try everything. We wanted to try whatever we could get our hands upon. And then slowly, after at least 2-3 years, subhanAllah, things just changed. We started to see life differently. And, it was like in front of us, we could see just two paths. So of course, this was with the help of Dawah, but then with two paths, we could see the life of enjoying enjoying the good of this dunya, and then the other life of trying to be practicing and trying to get closer to Allah, even if I'm in a foreign country.
So does it come with maturity?
Yes, it does. It comes with maturity. It comes with respect. And by Allah, and I'm saying this, and a lot of brothers and sisters can agree with me who have been through the path that I've been of changing. It really comes with respect, especially with people and your parents.
Yeah.
Your parents will actually respect you much more when you've changed yourself. You become more practicing and closeness to righteousness than you are from before. Because before they'll just take you as a joke. They won't take you seriously. But they see that now this person uses their head. They don't play around. They don't play. They don't. They're not double standard.
Okay, Brother Hashil, I have a tricky question for you. What's this obsession that our young people have with the hip hop culture? What does it? What is it that is attracting them?
I was hooked up on that. That was one of my biggest addictions. I used to be a dancer. I was a DJ. I was very known for that back in the day, and it's because the way it was brought up. No, I mean, it's serious. It's because, I mean, personally, what got me into it is because it was so widespread.
Yeah,
it's
very popular.
An epidemic that it's like it attracted. I remember when this movie called You Got Served came to Oman back in 2004, and this blew the whole of Muscat. Because what I mean blew means after this, you see everyone getting into breakdancing, everyone getting into freestyling, everyone was getting into baggy jeans and the baggy style.
Yeah.
Everyone they loved it because this was, back in those days, in 2004, that was the cool of that time.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to be cool, if you wanted to be someone, if you wanted to fit with a particular community or a crew or a peer, then this is what you had to be. And it's just every generation, it just keeps changing. I mean, today's generation, you have the youth who are into computer games, gaming. So, like, for them to be on the cool, you need to be good at gaming. You need to know a bit of, a bit of video gaming, and you need to have the expertise in that.
Well, I just want to say something here. I'm not here to talk about, a religious statement about, whether hip-hop is haram or halal, But I just want to say something, the history of hip-hop, like when the whole thing started, it started as an art to talk about the problems, the challenges, black people, went through. So it was a way of expressing, yourself about the challenges that people, used to go through. But nowadays, it's completely different.
Omanis are also expressing themselves.
No, I mean, look at the topics.
On the floor.
No, but look at the topics, discussed in today's, songs.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, you cannot compare, the
with
beginning,
the past.
Like the original, message that, these people came up with, okay, at the beginning, with what kind of messages we're getting now. We're talking about what, degrading women. Okay, we're talking about sex. We're talking about things
drugs.
which are drugs. Okay, I mean,
crime.
what is fancy about such topics? And like you go around and you hear these young people repeating all these verses and lyrics. And they don't know anything about them. They just like go by the rhythm and that's it. But they don't know. If they
Some of them don't even speak English. They just shake their heads.
Yeah, and like I was watching a video, actually, a debate, that between the old generation hip hop and the new generation hip hop, and they were talking about like the old generation, they're not happy with the way that hip hop has been presented nowadays to the world, because hip hop started as a good like art to convey a message. But anyway, we are not here to propagate for hip hop or whatever, but I just wanted to tell you how things could really change, okay, from one stage to another. And back to the idea of the influence of media and how media is used in order to propagate certain ideologies and like ideas to the youth. I blame also our own people who are in charge of the religious teaching, okay, not to use the same kind of tools, okay, to propagate for the religious teachings and principles.
Yes,
because you need to tackle the problem with the same kind of weapon.
So I think the problem is from both sides.
You don't expect people to react to the same message the same way that with the
it
same
was done
tool.
30 years ago.
No, there's no way. You need to understand the psychology of the youth. Okay, how they perceive knowledge, how they react to knowledge, how they get the message through.
And I think we're lacking young people who are role models.
Yes, definitely.
Successful role models.
Maybe we do, but we don't tend to show them to these young people. Okay, we have so many successful people in the society, but we don't shed lights on their lives in their achievements and then we need to show these people to the world.
And I think also to educate these young students who are going abroad for studies. In the past we had our parents telling us, lecturing us day in and day out about our values, about our identity, and that we shouldn't change, we should be the same, we should represent our country and our religion abroad. But nowadays there is no one there to guide them. They're just told about the name of the university that they're going to join, how much money they need, where to find accommodation, and that's it.
Yeah, and
I remember I was telling my neighbor just a couple of days ago. I think the first couple of days of Ramadan, he studies in the States, and I worry about the youth. My cousins, relatives, neighbors, and all of them, because when they go there, I know how it's like. I've been through that world, and I've seen it myself. I was there, and I changed. And I remember I was telling him, reminding of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that al-mar'a ala deen khalili, that one is upon the
religion
is upon the lifestyle. He's upon the deen of his closest companion, his Khalid, which is his closest companion. And so watch out who you take. I told him, like, watch out who you take as friends. You know, there's no doubt that it is good for us to experience and to see, like, different things in life so that our minds can become open, but there needs to be limits. So we need to be, as believers, as Muslims, we need to be very wise in how we choose our friends and what we do.
Yes. I think also something very important, Hashil, is to highlight people like yourself, that you came back with a positive change. Yeah, you've been there, you've tried everything, and you've come back to your senses. Yeah, and you've came back a better person to Oman. You're more matured now, and you can advise other young people in your age about what is important in life. So I think your generation needs to play a big role to propagate
we do.
And educate.
SubhanAllah, it's very surprising. What was surprising to me is I was with some cousins of mine, and they even mentioned names of brothers that I knew, of friends of mine that I used to play football with back in the day in PDO, and they were telling me that even they changed. I was very shocked. I was like, they changed as well. So it just shows me that there's more than just myself. There's more than just brothers that I know. There's a lot of shabab out there who've gone to places like Australia, the States, England, or Canada, and have come back. And people, even in this country, you know, they've a lot of people have come back, and you know, they've changed just like ourselves. You know, they were once upon chasing women, trying to seek the pleasure of this dunya.
This is the balance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept, Brother Hashil. That some people leave this country, they go astray, and some of them leave and come back even better, a better person. And this is the balance that we're talking about. But our duty is there to educate people, to enlighten our younger generation, to tell them about the facts and the truth, that what they're going to expect out there, and to be prepared.
Yes. To be prepared for you know, like when they leave, you know, tell them that, you know, to be prepared to leave your salah, because that will come to you. Not to encourage you, but to tell them that the chances of abandoning salah, for example, and this is an epidemic over there, is so widespread. It's very easy. I know someone personally who stopped praying for 3 years.
Subhanallah.
You know, subhanallah, with just a little bit of da'wah, and now he's keeping up to all the salawat, the sunnah, the nawafil, and he's giving da'wah to others. So what I'm saying is that it's good to let them know that when you leave this country, there are a lot of possibilities that you can start, your iman will start shaking down and falling down like bricks.
Yes.
So you need to hold on to that and strengthen it. And these are the ways that you can do it.
Thank you very much, Brother Hashil, for your contribution. It was an asset to have you on the show, and you have really added a lot to our discussion.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brother Hashil.
Yes, you're welcome.
Assalamu alaikum.
I think, since we're talking about the idea of forms of identity crisis, I would like to, since you were talking about, that you go to the mall and sometimes you get confused and you couldn't identify whether the person that is in front of you is a man or a woman. I want to talk about, the idea of, how culture can influence, the way we act or the way we look.
Yes.
Let's talk about the example of abaya, for example. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, abaya is it's a cultural thing, and it's a sign of, it's supposed to be a sign of modesty and, Islamic, dress. But unfortunately, nowadays, you go around and you see ladies with abayas, okay, and I don't know why they're wearing the abaya, okay. They are so revealing, okay. They show the body, okay, and I would say there is no need for them to wear that abaya. Okay,
they don't fit the purpose.
Yeah, they don't fit the purpose. I'm not saying that we should not wear abayas, but what I'm saying is that abaya is supposed to do a clear purpose, which is what? Wearing modestly and looking.
What about the ones that look like men's clothing?
Oh, and nowadays, that's
we have competitors now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They look, like from the top, they look like a dish dasher, and now it's just too much, and I don't know. They're not happy to be women or what exactly. I don't know. I couldn't make the connection. But this is something that, we have to emphasize here, that not every cultural thing, could be a good thing.
Yes.
We need to filter, things. There are a lot of good things, from our culture, which are derived, from the Islamic teaching.
Yes.
But at the same time, there are things which are not Islamically oriented, and we have to get rid of them. And we need to talk about them so that people get educated. They have the chance to understand these practices or these, actions are not the right actions according to the Sharia of Islam.
Earlier, Ahmed, we had planned to talk about a topic which is called branding Oman.
Yes.
You remember? And we cancelled that that topic and we replaced it with this. And I'm glad we replaced it with this because there is no point of branding Oman, branding our values if we are in crisis.
Yes, we are confused and lost.
If our house is still not tidy.
Yeah.
So this is important, what we discussed today. We've touched on many points, whether the identity, whether it is physical, the one appearing, or is it mental, the way you conduct yourself, the way you present yourself, whether it is the Omani identity or whether the Islamic identity, and whether these two should clash or not, and what is more important to you, the Omani identity or the Islamic identity, and we should not take the Islamic identity to the next level where it brings clash with others, which is happening today in the Islamic world. Everyone seems to think that they are on the right path and everyone else is not.
That's really sad. And I think, Hatim, if you allow me to say something here, I think we need to talk about the role of scholars, in changing the way they communicate these beautiful ideas to our youth.
Yes.
You cannot stick to the same old method of preaching, because nowadays youth are different, they have their own world, they have their own problems. You need to talk to them, you need to see, how they really get the message through. So we need to change the tactics, from these kind of, traditional ways.
Thank you, dear listeners, for listening to our show today. And tomorrow's topic is Motherhood Hijacked. Motherhood Hijacked. I don't know what it means, but find out tomorrow, inshallah. From me, Hatim Al Abdilsalam, and Ahmed Al Matani. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you.
Never think of change. Be the change. Thank you for being a part of this amazing journey. Life as it is. Here on the Nation Station, Radio Sultan of Oman, 90.4 FM.